For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Hello everybody, Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and on iTunes and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. We are just everywhere. We really, really are. And a big weekend entertainment. Sunday night was the Emmy Awards, hosted by Andy Samberg. What did you think of that? 3 hours of, again, Hollywood patting itself on the back and celebrities going, I'm the best, you're not. I thought Andy quite funny, but a lot of the jokes kind of fell flat. I think that it was one of those where the joke is funny because he's awkwardly standing there waiting for people to laugh, and they didn't. Anyway, so that was the TV night on Fox. Now, then on Wednesday night was the Big Brother season finale, where you saw, oh my god, I'm drawing a blank on what his name is. Steve. You saw Steve win the $500,000 prize. And is Steve joining us next? Steve might be joining us in the next week or so. We wanted to get him on this episode of the podcast. Unfortunately, we could not do that. But instead, we've got Andrew Savage. Now, am I drunk? I'm having a stroke is what's happening right now. Andrew Savage is on the second chance season of Survivor that started also on the same night that Big Brother ended. And so Andrew Savage, one of the fan favorites, will be joining us in the first segment. And then Phil Keoghan, host of The Amazing Race, which premieres Friday night on CBS tonight if you're listening to this on Friday. Phil is a fan favorite who we have on our syndicated radio shows every season. And so Phil is going to be joining us about halfway through the show as well and taking your questions. So we're going to take a break right now, and then we'll get into the celebrity phone right after this.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom41.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom41.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 41.com. Go to freedom41.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom41.com.
Celeb spotting on The Scribble.
Survivor is back on CBS. Now, it's a fan vote, second chances, and obviously a fan favorite is Andrew Savage. He's joining us on the line to talk about the new season. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Jeremy. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for joining us. Now, in case people might not be familiar with your past season, or maybe just need a reminder, can you sum up your appearance or your gameplay in 3 words so people will remember you?
I would say lawyer Armani suit.
There you go. Going out there this time around, had you planned out in your head doing anything differently? Like, what was your approach this time?
Yeah, my approach was going to work on my social game. In my first season 12 years ago, I didn't really have to have a social game.
Right.
I just had a solid tribe. No one thought about voting anybody out, and then we had the outcast twist, and I came up short, so did well physically in the challenges, and in this time around, I just wanted to go in and be more aware of folks, their proclivities, their taught me, and just to be more alert and more sensitive to everything that was going on around me, and specifically some of the folks that were kind of flying under the radar and what their gameplay is.
I was going to say, strategy is so important, but at the same time, you can only pre-plan so far in advance, because a lot of it has to do with alliances and the people that are out there. So I guess you have to sort of morph your gameplay, as we see season after season. Did you have to change anything drastically from the time that you, before you left to the time you were there?
Yes. I mean, just, I'm an old school Survivor player,
right?
And in Cambodia, it was really clear that the game is going a mile a minute. And in Pearl Island, season 7, my first season, you could kick back, find your water source, make shelter, find some food, and then let the game come to you. And this is an all-star season, and the new schoolers, the new school Survivors is just a much different game, and you have to go out there and you have to grab the game and wrestle it down and take it to the next level. And it's really interesting to see how that plays out.
A lot of times, or most of the time on the season, when the very first episode, everybody's going out to the island or wherever it is that you're going, there's no talking, nobody knows anybody.
I honestly had never spoken to anyone, any of the 19 contestants, so everyone started with a clean slate in my mind, and want to give them the benefit of the doubt and just get to know them individually as Survivor All-Stars and see what made them tick and see if there's some good gameplay to be had. So
that's where I was going with that. So no pre-season strategizing before you actually got out there then? No conspiring beforehand?
Yeah, I did absolutely none of that. The rumor circulating that some folks did, I didn't do any of it. No one reached out to me, which is totally fine. And so I did research, Survivor Wiki and so forth on a bunch of the folks to see what they'd done in their prior seasons, to see how they acted, what they did, were they trustworthy, and so forth. So I had my list, my running list of who I thought were trustworthy and who I thought I should be mindful of and suspicious of, and it's like anything. You plan ahead, and then you get on the island, and nothing. It's Survivor, right? And it's an all-star season. Nothing goes as you plan, so you just have to course correct at a moment's notice and do your best.
When it is all-stars, then, I mean, was there somebody that was on your radar at the very beginning as to, I should watch out for him or her, or I know what they did last time around, I better be mindful of that this time? Was there anybody?
Yeah, I mean, there's the usual suspects, right? So Cass, I did watch her season, right? She seemed to turn on everyone in her alliance, and so radar's up about Cass, but wanted to give her a fair shake and hit the beach and just get to know her. Sierra voted her mom out. It was infamous, yeah. And having played the game and knowing how important family relations are, and especially when you're sleep deprived and starving and dehydrated, it takes a lot to vote out a family member. So, just thinking about Sierra and wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, but also in the back of my mind, knowing that she does have the wherewithal to vote out somebody super close to her, something to keep in mind.
I was going to ask then, so what advice would you give somebody who wants to be on the show? And first off, let me rewind, though. Was going on the show what you expected it to be the first time around, or was it completely different than what you thought?
It was so much more than I thought. It was unbelievably hard and demanding, and it was absolutely the adventure of a lifetime. So it just exceeded my expectations, my first season. Okay, so what advice would you give somebody? Does it take a certain kind of personality, a certain kind of physical ability? Like, what would you tell someone? I would tell someone that, first of all, not everyone is wired for Survivors, is kind of made for Survivors. What I would tell folks is that what they need to do is dig down deep and see what is their core, what are they made of, and then to reveal that to the producers, the casting team that figures out who's best on Survivor. But what they have to do is be true to themselves, and they have to show what makes them an A-type personality, what makes them, and it's my opinion what Survivor's looking for, are folks that when they're sleep deprived and starving and dehydrated, they don't curl up in a fetal position and whimper. They go the other way, and they scream at the top of their lungs, "I got this." And that's what Survivor, I think, is looking for. So the folks out there that want that experience, they need to tap into that aspect of their character and to show it to the casting directors.
And not that I'm not asking for a spoiler, that's not where I'm going with this, but if you were to tell us to watch for one thing, maybe it's a certain line or a scene or something that we'll go, oh, that's what Andrew was talking about. Is there one thing that jumps out at you?
Wow. I would say that's really tricky in terms of no spoilers. I mean, you can imagine a million things come to mind.
What about
here's what I would look
for.
A
phrase or some sort of a saying that we should listen for.
Here's what I would look for, right? And this is no spoilers, no surprise. I would look for a very interesting dichotomy between old school and new school and how it plays out. It's fascinating to me.
Are you involved in it?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, we're going to be watching. Andrew, when can we catch Survivor on CBS?
CBS Wednesday night, starting at 8 o'clock. So we're all incredibly excited. And Jeremy, honestly, I'm a big Survivor fan as well. It's going to be an absolutely epic season.
Well,
epic.
And thanks so much for joining us, Andrew. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you so much. Take care.
If you're diabetic, this message could change your life. Is your blood sugar out of control even when you do all the right stuff? Are you afraid of diabetic blindness and the risk of amputation, as well as all those other side effects? Well, you should be. Is there anything that could help manage your blood sugar? Nobetes is a natural supplement that may quickly and dramatically lower your blood sugar.
My name is Bob Corder. I've been using Nobetes for about 3.5 to 4 months now. And in the first 3 months, I've actually lowered my blood sugars from 500s down to 139, and then it dropped to 88 to 93.
My name is Kirsten. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and while taking Nobetes, my blood sugar levels dropped from 295 to 115 in just 1 day.
The FDA hasn't evaluated these statements, and Nobetes isn't intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. But for many, it's helped drop their blood sugar. So if you've been evaluated with high blood sugar, don't delay. Evaluate Nobetes now. Call 800-478-9568 and get your free bottle. Just cover shipping and handling. Call 800-478-9568. That's 800-478-9568.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. During that break, Bonnie Winters, our EP, our executive producer, there's some lingo for you. Our EP is executive producer. Bonnie Winters was telling me that Andrew, and then I actually referred to the season as All-Stars, which is quite funny because these are second chance and it's voted by fans. So I don't know that necessarily they'd be considered All-Stars. Fan favorites, maybe. All-Stars would be that these people did really, really well in the game and potentially would have won and maybe came in second or third place even. But no, if you watched the season premiere a couple of days ago, you know that I was watching it, seriously, and I'm sitting there going, I don't remember who this person... I have seen every season of Survivor I have watched. I don't even think I've ever actually missed an episode. And some of them don't even look familiar to me. So All-Stars, that's a little bit generous. I would say fan favorites, certainly. All right, and our tribute, I guess, to CBS. It's CBS Day here on The Scribble. The Amazing Race is back on with Phil Keoghan as the host. Now, he's on our syndicated radio shows every season. Actually, he was on the very first episode of The Scribble 31 weeks ago or so. And so Phil Keoghan is going to be joining us in the next segment. Always love chatting with him. Now, what we do is we tweet out to people to send in questions because he's a fan favorite on our show. And so we get bombarded with questions for Phil. So we're going to ask him your questions coming up in the next segment. And or actually, we're gonna go to the celebrity phone right now.
Celeb spotting on the Scribble.
The Amazing Race is back on CBS. Now, one of our favorite guests joining us on the line, host Phil Keoghan, here to talk about the race around the world. Hey, Phil.
Hi. Thank you for thinking of me as one of your favorite guests.
Who
else is up there as one of your favorite guests?
You know what? We have Jeff Probst on quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, you're getting put on the spot now. You're thinking, oh, boy, I have to be careful what I say now.
I'm trying to think of which TV network we're talking with right now, and, you know, we've got
Oh, I see. You're being so political. You're not calling from Washington by any chance, are you?
Wait a second. Whose interview is this? Who's running the show here? Jeez.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm sorry. I'll leave you back to answering the question.
No,
sorry.
That's all right. You know what? It's your show as much as it is mine because we have you on all the time. So,
Thank you.
So this season, though, I know you guys hit quite a few continents this year, almost all of them, right?
Yeah, you know, the one continent we have yet to get to is, of course, Antarctica, and
right.
there's a short window of time when you can get there. there's only a couple of months over their summer, which is the winter in the northern hemisphere. So, December, January, and I really hope that there's an opportunity for us to get there one day. But we have hit all the continents, barring Antarctica.
The airlines probably don't fly there very often, do they?
No, there's not like a lot of scheduled flights. I think a lot of the flights are pretty much as needed basis when the military planes are transporting. There's a number of countries that have set up bases down there, but interestingly, those people who go down there, there's a certain point where there's a last flight out, and if you don't get on it, you have to stay there over the winter, because it's impossible to fly planes in and out. Anyway, it's the driest place on Earth. I don't know if you knew that, and it would be fascinating to go there, but still on our list.
So the race would be more than that 30-something days then if you do miss that flight?
Yes, it would extend over winter, and we would suddenly be, I guess it would call freezing and afraid, as opposed to naked and afraid.
All right, so what can we expect on the show this season then?
Well, one thing that I'm really excited about is that we got to do a live start of the race and inviting fans. And, it's so important to connect with the fans. I have really enjoyed that through Twitter, live tweeting every week and really getting immediate feedback from the fans about what they like and don't like, the teams that they like, the challenges that they like, the places that we go to. It's incredibly valuable, and to be able to reach out to them and say, hey, we're going to do a live start at Venice Beach in California. Please come out. We had people flying in from all over the country and some overseas visitors because the show is broadcast in over 140 countries, and they're all standing around and supporting us and supporting these teams as I say go, and these teams run off to their first destination, which is Rio. There's an energy there that we haven't had in previous seasons where we've been in some secret place, we've been hidden away. Having the fans live with us and the racers picking up on all the energy from the fans, and some ex-racers. We even had the original winners of the Amazing Race, Robin Brennan, standing there. And that's powerful. And I'm loving this new technology and being able to connect with fans through Twitter and where they're spotting us in airports and sending out images around the world to let people know where we are. I embrace it.
Well, speaking of Twitter, as you know, the other day we had asked people to send in their questions for you, and we always get bombarded. And the first one actually here is Bon, I guess it's at BD5601988, said, what prompted the show to finally allow a live audience of fans to be at the start this year? So just a shout out to Bon for sending in that question as well.
Yeah, it's a great question, and really I think just to add a little bit more to that, just so that you feel like I've answered the question, but it's really just about connecting with the fans, and we
right.
see the importance of using the feedback from the fans. It's really important.
Melissa asked, what's the longest penalty a team can incur?
Well, I'm trying to think of in history what the longest is. I think in history, from memory, it was around 4 hours. We have a legal team who travel with us, and because the race is, we try to make the race fair for everybody, and one of the things that we do is we make sure that it adheres very strictly to the rules that we set out at the beginning. So we try to keep all the penalties consistent from season to season, but there are also sometimes where things happen that we just could never predict, that you could never write into a rule book, and we have to keep adding things because we're like, well, we never anticipated that somebody would do that. Or if you remember some years ago when the 20s moved the money, or we've had teams move things in a challenge and make it more difficult for another team. Sometimes there's a gray area, and we're trying to run the fairest race that we possibly can. So it's very difficult to make it fair all the time, but we do our best.
Max writes, have they ever considered an All-Stars version with winners of the international editions of the shows?
We've talked about the international versions of the shows. Canada has a fantastic version of their of Amazing Race, and Australia has their own version. I think people ultimately like to watch themselves more than they like to watch people from overseas compete. I think if you look at, say, the ratings of the U.S. Open tennis match, when an American is in the tournament, the ratings are much higher than when there's an international player, someone from overseas. So inherently, I know years and years ago they did an international version of American Idol, I guess International Idol, and they got all the winners from around the world, and the ratings weren't very good. I think ultimately research shows that the audience much prefers to watch people who are more like them than they do to watch others. So, we've had lots of conversations about maybe we take an Australian, the best of Australians and the best of Canadians and Americans and so on. But then that begs the question, what happens if, let's say the Canadians beat all the Americans, or the Australians are the finalists and there's no more Americans left and no more... And all the networks have invested in that series. How does that affect their ability to tell the show and keep an interest for their audience? So I think it's a little complicated, but I think it would be fun to do, but I just don't know whether it would resonate with the audience.
We have less than 30 seconds. The last question goes to me because I ask it every time. What's the hardest destination for you to pronounce this season?
I don't know if there were any real difficult ones. I mean, over the years we've had Ouagadougou, and we've had, some really crazy names. I remember once in voiceover, I must have tried this one destination from Ukraine about 10 times, and we were listening to it online. I know one we had real difficulty with recently, or not so long ago, was Yogyakarta. Is it Yogyakarta? There's about 4 or 5 different pronunciations of Yogyakarta in Indonesia, and we angst over the pronunciation of that over and over and over and over again. And in the end, we had to make a decision about which way to go, and quite frankly, I can't actually remember which way we did go.
We're out of time, but The Amazing Race is back on CBS. Phil, when can we catch the show?
It's on every Friday again. It's on at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we have a great season. I look forward to having fans come back and checking it out. Great mix of teams, lots of drama. It's a good one. Well,
our favorite guest, Phil Keoghan, thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, I'm the favorite now, not one of. Okay.
Thanks, Phil. Take care now.
Take care.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom41.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom41.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 41.com. Go to freedom41.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom41.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. Remember to follow us on Twitter at The Scribble Show, at The Scribble Show on Twitter. And then my Twitter is at SF Celebwatch, at SF as in Speak Free Celebwatch. And we're also on Facebook, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember the address. Somebody's going to tell me the address. Facebook.com/speakfreemedia. Facebook.com/speakfreemedia. You can tell I'm totally into this whole social media thing, okay? You know, in all honesty, I do have a Facebook page for myself, Facebook.com/JBOnAir. And nothing ever posted about my personal life. You'll see stuff about my dogs. You'll see stuff about this show, the radio shows, my newspaper columns, but definitely not. Because here's the deal. I don't believe that people care enough about me to want to know what I'm doing, 24 hours a day. People don't need to know that I'm going to bed right now. People don't need to know that I just woke up. People don't need to know that I'm going to this restaurant. I don't know. I'm one of the few who can say, I know that you don't care that much about me, and I'm fine with that. I couldn't imagine, and I have a relative. I'm not even going to say what relation they are to me, but literally is posting every hour, every thought, every emotion, when he or she is having a terrible day, when he or she is having a wonderful day, when he or she is pissed off at somebody, when he or she is annoyed with customer service at some retail store. It's everything. And I don't know that, I wonder sometimes if people are just posting these things to get the reaction, right? Because then you're going to see, okay, so-and-so liked it, or this person commented, and now it's creating a conversation, and this is your platform to be heard and seen and what have you. Okay, cool. But is it too much? Because there's people like me, and very few people like me, who are kind of going, you know what, I kind of will skim some of the things just to have a laugh at you, because I think that it's funny that you're putting all that stuff out there. But then I find it kind of sad, too, that I made time to read that. I'll spend maybe, in the course of a week, 10 minutes on Facebook, scrolling a couple things, and that's it. And even then, a lot of the things that are posted on there for our shows and things, it's not even me, right? So it's kind of funny what people decide to open up from their life. To each his or her own. And that's also partially why I wrote the book called Put Down Your Damn Phone Already. We've talked about it, I guess, in the first couple weeks of doing this show. The book, Put Down Your Damn Phone Already, at putdownyourdamnphone.com. It's also on Amazon and iTunes. It's just a commentary. I call it's a loving rant about your obnoxious cell phone use. If you think about it, most people are doing social media from their phone, right? So if you took away your phone, then your postings wouldn't be as frequent. You wouldn't have as much to say. Because unless you're doing it at work at your computer, right? I think nowadays people aren't spending the evening at home on their computer. They're actually spending it on their phone. And I'm just, here I am getting a tweet right as I'm talking and doing this. So I reach for my phone and I see that somebody is following us now. There we go. Perfect timing, isn't it? So putdownyourdamnphone.com is the name of is the website address for the book. And definitely I say that there's two types of people that will find the book entertaining. You're going to have the people who are addicted to their phone themselves. That's the cell phone user. And then the people who aren't and who have that opinion about these people going, you know what, you need to let go. So it's a good gift for somebody if you want to sort of have a laugh because they never do put down their phone. Or if it's you and you want to have a laugh about yourself because you can acknowledge that, hey, I've got a phone addiction and it's kind of intrusive in your personal life. So either way, check it out. Would love to hear your thoughts on that book. Now, while I'm whoring out our products as well, we've got Entertainment Wrap-Up, which is our daily celebrity news and gossip segment. It's a quick 3-minute segment. So if you wanted to hear just my own sarcastic thoughts and opinions about stories that are in the news with the rich and famous, that's definitely where you would go to hear it. So entertainmentwrapup.com. entertainmentwrapup.com. I'm vamping now because we've got about a minute and a half to kill. Speaking of links that you can go to, speakfreecelebwatch.com. That is where we have a bunch of the celebrity interviews from our radio shows, from the podcast as well. Speakfreecelebwatch.com. So we've had so many surprise guests on the show, and I think that you'll find some of those entertaining. Nick Lachey all the time we have on. We've had Clay Aiken was a surprise guest. Joy Behar from The View. We had Donald Duck and Goofy as a surprise. We had Ty Pennington previously of Extreme Makeover Home Edition. We had Jeff Foxworthy on one time. So we've had lots of great surprise guests as well. So speakfreecelebwatch.com. Hey, you know what? Let's hear about Twitter.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Thank you very much, Larson. I was going on that rant about social media, and I totally forgot that we had to have that Twitter promo queued up there. So thank you, Bonnie Winters, our executive producer, for pointing that out as well. Well, we're out of time this week. I want to thank Andrew Savage from Survivor, who was joining us to talk about the new season, and our favorite guest, Phil Keoghan from The Amazing Race. That is Fridays on CBS. Check your local listings. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat